Everyone wants to be the GOAT. Everyone wants to talk about who the GOAT is. That's fine, I suppose, but what about those players and coaches who weren't great or even really good? The folks who had long careers in their respective sports despite never being elite. The ones that make you say, hey, I remember that guy. Well, this is their time to shine. Let's spend a minute basking in the glory of sports mediocrity in the most cliché way possible. A Mount Rushmore list. Seriously, this just might be the most mediocre form of content, so it kind of makes sense. Let's start with the few qualifications required to make our Mount Rushmore of sports mediocrity. These are, in no particular order, needing to having played or coached for 10 or more years, having never won a championship, and not being in any major sports Hall of Fame. Beyond that, it's all about a player's or coach's ability to be average. So with that out of the way, here is the Touchback's Mount Rushmore of sports mediocrity. We start with the Teddy Roosevelt, and in this context, we're going with Sean Burke. Sean Burke was as average could be. He played 820 NHL games over 18 seasons, finishing with a career record of 324 wins, 341 losses, and 101 ties. I miss hockey ties. Anyway, the goaltender found himself on a lot of average or flat-out bad teams after bursting onto the scene in the NHL playoffs with the New Jersey Devils during the 1987-88 season. In fact, he never won a playoff series after that first run and only won a meager 3 postseason games over the following 17 seasons. A contract dispute saw Burke sit out the 91-92 season, so the goalie instead suited up for Canada in the Winter Olympics. He could only secure a silver medal for his troubles. Perfect. The goalie is in many ways the embodiment of sports mediocrity. Good enough to be in the league for a long time as a starter, but never better than average. Emil Heskey was derided for being terrible in the 2000s, but that criticism was unfair. I mean, look, he wasn't good, but he did manage 516 English Premier League appearances and scored 110 goals across 19 seasons in England's top flight. He also racked up 62 England caps and took part in a pair of World Cups. The thing about Heskey is that he did enough things well on the pitch to have a long career at soccer's highest level. However, he was also a striker who didn't score goals, the worst thing you could possibly be. His inclusion in most EPL sides had to do a lot more with a lack of better options at a manager's disposal than anything else. Charlie Huff spent 25 years in the big leagues, so he was doing something right. That something just wasn't particularly valuable. That usually happens to be the case with most knuckleball pitchers though. However, even by their standards, the lost old man from the 1993 Topps baseball card was exceptionally mediocre. Huff finished his MLB career with 216 wins, 216 losses, and 61 saves. His 3.75 ERA is perfectly average. He started 440 games and had another 418 appearances out of the bullpen. In 1986, the then Texas Rangers starter was named to the AL All-Star team. He threw a wild pitch and got called for a balk in the game. That really says it all about Charlie Huff. Before we unveil our George Washington of sports mediocrity, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. Julio Franco played baseball forever and a day. Despite this, he never did anything all that well. His 3 All-Star appearances were a product of injuries to others and a lack of decent American League second baseman more than anything else. Scott Skiles got consideration as both a player and a coach, but didn't meet the longevity requirement. That being said, Skiles wasn't really talented enough to have either role at any given moment, but grinded his way to a very bang average career. Dave Blaney managed to start 473 NASCAR races without winning a single one. It's doubtful another driver will ever be given this many opportunities without taking the checkered flag.
I'm not fucking going 7-9 or 8-8 or 9-7, okay? Or 10-6 for that matter. This team's too talented. I'm not going to settle for that, okay? I know what I'm doing. We had some 7-9 bullshit this morning.
Come on, there is only one person average enough to be George Washington on the Mount Rushmore of sports mediocrity. That is Jeff Fisher. The former Tennessee Titans and Los Angeles Rams head coach made a career of being 500 or thereabouts. In his 20 full seasons as an NFL head coach, Fisher-led sides finished 8-8, 7-9, or 7-8-1 on 10 occasions. Astoundingly, his career record, if you include postseason games, is 180, 179, and 1. Hiring him to be your head coach was the equivalent of flipping a coin each week to determining the outcome of your game. It does not get any more mediocre than Jeff Fisher. There you have it. That is the Touchback's Mount Rushmore of sports mediocrity. It does not get any more average than these 4 founding figures of mediocre. That does it for me. This is the Touchback. I'm Cheyenne Hollis, and as always, take it out to the 25.